and that rhyme say ripping, right? And you know that's how we do. Hey, Andre kinda did this, right? And Deuce Trey kinda did this,
that's right?
And Paseo done did this, right? And when we hit 'em, come on.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paseo PDX, the Portland Parks Foundation's Arts Festival and Mutual Aid Funding Drive. I'm Shayna Pomerantz. Thank you to our lead sponsor, PGE, along with the Miller Foundation, SOJ, and 40 other contributors. We wanted to be here with all of you in the South Park blocks, but unfortunately with COVID and the Delta variant, we are here virtually, so we're happy to see you. In a minute, we will get to hear from the poet Demian Dinéyazhi. Demian is indigenous Diné Navajo. His work is rooted in radical indigenous queer feminist ideology, landscape representation, memory, HIV/AIDS related art and activism, gender identity and sexuality, indigenous survivance, and decolonization. He will be in residence this November at the Institute of American Indian Art in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Demian joins us to honor Peacekeeper Society, an indigenous-led organization mobilizing tribal trainers and wisdom keepers to host mass meal distributions throughout Oregon and Washington. To benefit Peacekeeper Society and 13 other mutual aid groups, Paseo PDX's lead sponsor, PGE, and the Portland Parks Foundation are making a $4,000 challenge to the community. Let's double or triple that amount. Any contribution, no matter how small, qualifies you for a drawing for some cool prizes. Check it all out at paseopdx.org/challenge. And now, here is Demian.
Yate, my name is Demian Dinéyazhi. I am a 38-year-old non-binary queer indigenous Diné person. I have a little over shoulder length long hair. I have some pink beaded arrowhead earrings on and a white and black shirt that says, "When we fight, we can win," in solidarity with a lot of the First Nations activism up in Canada. And I'm currently in the park blocks in Portland, Oregon, and going to share some poetry with you. A lot of this work comes out of my forthcoming book, We Left Them Nothing, which is my third self-published book. Thank you, Paseo, and everyone involved. I also want to acknowledge that we are on stolen and colonized indigenous lands of various tribes who move throughout the region. I also want to acknowledge a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement and energy that exists within the space. And also just the gratitude of everyone coming together and organizing and putting this video together during the pandemic. I know it's a really difficult time right now, but it's also a necessary opportunity for us to be able to share work and continue critiquing culture and everything that we've been going through, and that we will hopefully push through and be able to resurrect and figure out. All that said, I will begin sharing some work with you. In the new queer America, we post selfies of muscle queens toting shitty performance politics in real time. In the new queer America, we applaud white queers for adopting BIPOC political ideologies without asking how many two-spirit queer trans POC were harmed by their actions in the years leading up to their macro celebrity coronation. In the new queer America, we hashtag our identities and build community through the carry-on of cancel culture. In the new queer America, we appropriate Black culture while living on stolen and colonized indigenous lands, clenching to political movements nurtured by trans women of color. In the new queer America, we get married and pay our dues to the state. In the new queer America, we board planes, boats, and cars destined for escape, but there is no Rimbaud, there is no Oscar Wilde or Gertrude Stein, there is no von Arowitz, Herring, or Sontag, there is no where there. And what about queer, trans, and two-spirit martyrs of color never embraced by white queers until our struggles and legacies are on trend and used as marketing tools to validate appropriate agendas that manufacture neo-colonial, neoliberal, neo-sloppy queer politics with no gag reflex? Their names falling off parched lips like Netflix synopsises, Twitter posts, fuckboys, load counts, white CDs looking for BBC as two-spirit queer trans POC are murdered trying to find the ladder to the gay white promised land of it gets better. In the new queer America, hope is a recipe for gentrification and artificial liberation because the bombs still get dropped in the name of democratic incompetence, striving for self-determination, religious freedom, or good old-fashioned peace, liberty, and the pursuit of endless consumption. In the new queer America, pleasure and dispensability are an all-you-can-eat buffet during the threat of multiple plagues. In the new queer America, there is no sanctuary. In the new queer America, we zoom into the horizon with two fingers and scroll down through the declining geography of the Anthropocene until we retreat to safer spaces that absolve us from responsibility. In the new queer America, it's easy to mistake homo nationalism for homonormativity, for rainbow flags designed by white queers. In the new queer America, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago are no longer destinations for safety, community, culture, visibility, survivability, dreaming, or evolving political imaginaries. In the new queer America, we are tricked into believing that our desire is based on white queer insecurity and failure. In the new queer America, they hunt down coyote and skin the sacred animal alive and adorn their art galleries, living rooms, and bodies with the carnage without seeking consent. In the new queer America, we invent language in theory, inherited from the energy of previous generations that fought, died, or were murdered trying to secure their rights so we could thrive in this future world we are destined to liberate. In the new queer America, we exist as futurisms thriving at the convergence of multiple histories and stories that are deadly forces against colonial capitalist scum. In the new queer America, you do your research before you show up in our comment section. In the new queer America, tomorrow is a luxury that breeders take for granted, and so their language and concepts are as limited as their strategies of coercion and assimilation that lean toward appropriation, violence, and death. In the new queer America, disabled, marginalized, oppressed, melanin and immunocompromised radiant bodies existing on a genderless queer planet are a threat to the powers that be. In the new queer America, our existence is an affirmation of our power, beauty, and proximity to sacred cosmology. In the new queer America, you pay us for surviving in spite of all the cards being stacked against us. Venmo at Demian Dinéyazhi. In the new queer America, I close the screen to my phone and place it between my legs. And when I take it out, my reflection stares back at me. The oils of my body appear on the screen, and the hair on my leg create a momentary monoprint of my body aged 35. In the new queer America, we fall asleep with our hands gripping cell phones, waiting for a connection. So what if my ancestors were giants? So what if their bodies molded the landscape and their fingers created valleys? So what if I've forgotten this language as my tongue digs into the earth and seduces this cosmic debris? So what if they laughed at the narcissism and frenzy of Apollo and Mars and Twitter and Facebook? So what if they stared into the future and saw the lights of Las Vegas and all the water being stolen, extracted, and depleted, and kept migrating toward a mesmeric sunrise? So what if they surrendered their elevation to kneel against the earth, to gather a cup of water in the palms of their hands, or disperse seeds into the earth with such precision? So what if they signed a treaty to survive forced starvation, forced migration, forced assimilation, forced indoctrination? So what if their truth erupts without warning and exposes all the lies from the last 528 years? So what if their testaments obliterate any mythological claim that this country's genocidal founders were ever peaceful, sympathetic, heroic, or altruistic? So what if their surviving descendants should one day decide to betray this illegitimate country invented by bloodthirsty, trauma-ridden, colonizing addicts and apocalypse-seething extremists? So what if our survival is the only one worth telling? I kind of fucked that last part up. Is there a way to reread that? Yeah. No, that's perfect. Oh, the so what? So what if our story?
Yeah, just tell the camera so that when they're editing it, they figure it out.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna restart from the so what if our so what if our story. All right. So what if our story of survival is the only one worth telling? If we are not men or women or human, if you deny us entry into your lifeless language and definitions and demarcated identities, we then have no survivable options other than to breed life into collective perception, to transcend your overprotective imaginations, just as the generations that came before us and who died at the hands of your forefathers and foremothers have already transcended and survived your instincts to eradicate us from your deathly desires and mission to conquer the energy of this universe. Your attempts at making us afraid of language has made you fearful of your own language. It betrays you like you have betrayed the earth. Language is a mirror, but you see it as a tornado ravaging your homes. You ask for proof. You ask for an essay. You ask for a research-based process. You ask for an article. You ask for a resume or CV. You ask for access to my community. You ask for any colonial document or exhaustive labor to confirm my existence. And when you ask, you negate my entire existence. You ask because you have confused that with my permission to exploit my sacred energy. Your want and desire to know more, your want and desire to make me speak to your audience of funders, your want and desire to capitalize off of my resistance, your want and desire to validate yourself through my struggle means that you are not yet aware of how my existence is a delicate weapon that could destroy corrupt empires. Thank you.